Good morning or good afternoon if you are joining me later in the day. Let me give you some context for this piece since it is a little wild. So in Art 2, we are doing idiom pieces, and my idiom is costs an arm and a leg. So I have some packaged arms and legs here with some pricing on them. So the whole theme of this piece is elements and principles of design. I am focused on the principle unity and pattern, and for elements, color, line, and space. So we don't have color on here yet, but I'll be adding color with watercolors. So a couple of things about watercolor. First and foremost, it is a pigment which starts out as a powder, and then it's added to something called a binding medium. Because it's a little pan, I have one actually that's just free floating. It's a little pan that holds its shape. So you need a binding medium that is a little bit sticky. What this means though, is if you add too much of this onto your paper could potentially be sticky as well. A lot of students try and use this like acrylic paint, where they're going in and doing it very, very thick. So with watercolor, the first word is water. So we want to get a soft, watery appearance. We don't want something really what we call opaque or full color. So first and foremost, when you use watercolor, you never work directly from the pan to the paper. You want to go in and move that color from the pan to a tray to the paper. So firstly, I go in and I always take a little cup of water and rinse my brush out before I do anything. Please don't assume that the person before you cleaned up after themselves because they're a teenager. And we know that teens as well as adults hate washing things. So I'm going in and just making sure that brush is cleansed. I want to go in and I want to first make a skin tone. I want to do various skin tones for these legs and arms. So to start this out, of course, I'm going to do like the most complex thing for you. I'm going to start out and I want to pour some water into my wells with the cup. If your brush was really dirty and you need to get more water, you can, but mine was fine. Thank you to whoever cleaned that up. The more water you add, the lighter your watercolor is going to be. So I'm going to make one lighter, one deeper, one more of a medium tone. So I use that water as a tool. Now I need to check, if you hear my chair rolling around, I need to check that I'm in frame and you can see what's going on. We have a little bit of a spillage. Don't do what I just did and hover your tray over your piece. So I'm going to move this off to the side. That way it doesn't get dirty. And I'm going to take what I call a little test strip. And that test strip, I'm going to go in and I'm going to test out my shades. Now, I take water and I make sure to have a lot on my brush. I'm going to mix this. And I kind of work that around. Oh, stand by. I work that shade around and then I start adding it to my water. So I'm essentially taking that and picking it up. Now, couple of things, y'all. When we're doing this, there are undertones to the brown paint. The brown is extremely red leaning, so it looks almost orangey. We don't want this person to look super orange or like red brown. So I am going to do something a little odd, but hear me out. So I'm going to take the blue and I'm going to just pop a small amount of that into the brown and it will neutralize it. Brown is a combination of red, blue, and yellow. If I added yellow to this, it would look a little bit funky. So I'm just adding the blue. And then I want to test it out. Ooh, okay, I like that. Okay, that looks good. I am going to trip the sensor. I'll be right back. Welcome back. So in case that lighting was a little bit weird, there is my tone there. If I wanted to deepen this up, I could go in and I could add more of that pigment. One thing I want you to see is what this looks like if I take it directly from there to my little paper. You won't get an even consistent color because the longer that sits, the darker that becomes. And then sometimes this dries really weird and sticky. So we want to avoid that at all costs. So I can take more of this pigment though and add it to my water. Apologies if you can hear people playing outside. I'm going to just give my brush a little rinse. Pop back into the blue since I added more of that pigment. And it's weird adding blue to things. Can you see just how like chunky that looks? We don't want that chunky appearance. Yeah, there we go. Again, we don't want a super opaque color. So I like that. If I want to go in and mix a lighter one, I can literally take this and add this to another well if I wanted to, or I can go in and I can remix. For this lighter tone, I'm actually going to add a little bit of yellow because I don't want it to be super like bronzy deep. I want this to be like a fair skin tone. I do need some blue. Oh my goodness. Whoever's outside, they're making the funniest sounds, and I'm trying really hard not to laugh. Okay, I feel like I need more of this. I'm going to test this out, see what this looks like. Oh, actually, that doesn't look too shabby. What do we think? It might need a little bit more yellow. This is all about playing with your shades, trying to figure out, ooh, never mind, that was too much yellow. I think I need a little more of this. The test strips are wonderful to use. There we go. There we go. Just kind of bounce around. Think, does it look too yellow? Does it look too red? Etc. So I'm going to work with these two shades right now. I want my Gold's Gym certified leg to be this deeper tone. And then I want this little skinny leg to be that lighter tone. So I'm going to go in. I'm dipping into my well. I don't know if it's in frame or not, but when I do this, I'm going to be very careful. I dip and then I wipe off the extra. So dip, wipe off the extra. You don't want this to be dripping onto your paper. And then for my piece, y'all, these are shrink wrapped. So I want to leave some parts white because I want it to look like light is reflecting off. I'm not going in with white watercolor or white paint. So anything that I need white, I'm actually leaving blank. I'm not going to go in and I'm not going to fill that in. So I want to strategically figure out what to leave white so that it looks like light is shining off of that packaging. And you can see this skin tone looks really good I always add a little blue just to make it look more like skin. Our skin has blue undertones from the veins that run through it. I know I have really visible veins, but that will make it look a lot nicer. I'm gonna go in, and wherever you lay down that watercolor, be very, very careful because there's no undoing it. If I feel that brush starting to get a little bit dry, I redip. You might have used watercolor in elementary school or in sixth grade art, in art one, art two, even if you're a high school class. But I want y'all to use it properly because there's no substitute for using materials properly. Sometimes they get taught incorrectly, or a teacher might not care as much, but we want to use things properly so we have the best outcome. So I'm going in, I want to create like a little in between. Yes, you can see it, the little white spots. Make sure that you are not doing this rushed. You want to take your time. I am a professional artist. I am a professional watercolorist. So I know what I'm talking about, y'all. To add shadows with watercolor, you can go in and you can add another layer. And I try and do that while it's still wet. So I'm going in. I'm just adding these kind of in between shades to make it look like that packaging is more, I don't know, thin. I don't want it to look super thick, those areas. So I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna bop in and I wanna add a little shadow. So I'm going into the bottom of this leg. I wanna add a shadow. I wanna make it look like this is sitting in the packaging. I wanna add a little shadow by the knee, right through here. Think about where light and shadow is going to naturally hit. I want to kind of, this person is Gold's Gym certified, all right? Like, they're beefy. So I want to go in and I want to kind of create kind of that calf muscle look. If you're watching this and you're not one of my students and you randomly find this YouTube video, you're like, who is this lady? Hi. Welcome. It's very much giving like Mrs. Lovett from Sweeney Todd. If you're not a theater person, you may not understand, but that's okay. I'm going to bop over to the other leg while this one dries a bit, so that you can kind of see what that other skin tone looks like. And oh yes, that's looking so good on camera. Okay, let's look at this other skin tone. I have no idea what time it is and no idea when my class is coming in because I'm filming on my phone. So y'all can see the difference in those skin tones. One has more water, so it is going to be a lot lighter. That water really makes a huge difference, the water levels that you use. And then I made sure to add more yellow to this skin tone. Obviously, I still have blue. I'm going to walk off and trip the sensor really quickly. Stand by. Someone just hit my window. All right, I have a few minutes before my class comes in. I did pause and identify where we were at. I don't know if I'm going to edit out when someone hit my window or not, but oh my gosh, it spooked me. So this part looks a little light. I'm gonna just take that, add more. When you apply your color, sometimes you'll see these dark spots appear. That's just from the paper becoming a little bit transparent when that water comes into contact with it. One thing you want to make sure you're not doing, don't scrub this. Don't rub the color into your piece because it will look really strange. It won't look right. So I'm actually going to take that deeper skin tone. I'm taking just a little bit, just a tiny bit. And I want to add that for the shading on this leg. I'm just dipping and then wiping off. Sorry if I go a bit nonverbal when I'm working. I just get in the zone, you know? That's why I try not to have y'all chit chat too much. It kind of prevents you from being able to work and kind of lose yourself in the process. I'm going in, if I want to kind of blend this, I'm taking my water, I'm rinsing my brush off, taking off the excess, and then I'm just going to come in and kind of blend on here because I don't want this to become too deep, but I do want it to look like shadow. And then I can actually go in and kind of blend over some of this. I wanted this to look a little bit like soft cell shading. Think like arcane. All right. So that is your official watercolor demonstration. Have a wonderful day. I will see you later. Bye.